Well, hello there. I believe that is 12 o'clock on the dot right there. 12:01. 12 o'clock. I pressed go live at 12 o'clock. We started on time. We started on time today. No technical difficulties yet that I know of. How's everybody doing? Hopefully we got everybody running in time, says a Twitch comment, which means we're on Twitch. And I know we're on YouTube. So we did it. Wow. It only took 5 live streams to get all the way to a 12 o'clock start time. Love it. So hopefully we can hear me. Good morning, Hector. Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon for the most part, I would say. I think mostly everybody's in the afternoon by now. We're live, Derek says. Yay. We did it. All right, we're here. Hi, everybody. My name is James Penca. Let's do this. My name is James Penca. I'm the creative director of Titanic Honor and Glory. And welcome to DEVSTREAM number 5. We are doing a full stream of just questions and answers. And we're going to be joined in a moment by executive producer, executive everything, Matthew DeWinkeleer. Hi from Denmark, Stefan. Very cool. Hector, it's good morning for you. Yes, it's 9:02 a.m. in California. Good morning to you. Great. We're doing this at noon today, and we're doing it on a Monday. So our first question is, why are we doing that? Well, today is the 110th anniversary of the launching of Titanic. So we thought we'd do something on the anniversary of that, which is cool. So I apologize if you're working today and you're watching this later on, but we really wanted to do something on today. And happy Memorial Day to Americans out there. Is it only America that does that? I don't know. Matt's sending me messages. Okay. So happy Memorial Day. Happy anniversary of the launching of Titanic. We are here to answer your questions. So first and foremost, I want to just mention we're going to answer every question you could possibly ask today. There's going to be a lot of questions and a lot of answers. If you have a question that you absolutely must ask and it must be answered today, we have super chats going. In fact, as if on command, we got our first super chat that Jake says, can we open the game with Titanic's launch? There you go. There's our first question. That's a great idea. We have plans for things like that, but that's not on our. As I've mentioned, we are focusing on the ship at the moment. But that's a great idea. So we have super chats going. If you guys want to have a question asked, some of the questions we're definitely going to get into today are all of your Unreal 5 questions. So if you have a question about Unreal 5, just hang out for a minute. We're going to tackle all of those. In fact, we may have a special guest to talk to you about Unreal 5 just briefly, because as many of you may know, the early access for Unreal 5 came out this week, and we have it, and we've been playing around with it, which is fun. So we will talk a lot about what that means for the game. Does that mean the game's going to be delayed? No. How about that? That's our first answer for the day. No, it will not delay the game. But yeah, we will talk about what is Unreal 5. Unreal 5 is a new game engine. The current game engine that Titanic Honor and Glory is being built in is Unreal 4, and Unreal 5 came out. And so there's definitely concern that it'll take, that it'll cause problems within the game development, and it absolutely will not. It has been a breeze so far, and it's been a lot of fun playing around in Unreal 5. There's lots of new features, things like that. So we'll talk about that later on. There are, Eric Hernandez asks, are there any screenshots of Unreal 5? There are, and maybe later on in the stream, we could look at some stuff. We also have to talk about the we have to talk about the contest. Last stream, we announced a contest for everybody to submit their models, their best 3D physical models, not virtual models. And at the end of the stream, we are going to announce the winners, the top 3 winners of that, and we'll show you their submissions. Some pretty cool, very, very impressed by all the submissions we got. Some very, very cool creative stuff, which is what we were hoping for. Hello from New York City. Very cool. I wish I was there right now. Cool. So that's all of that. A big thing, aside from super chats, which obviously help us out a little bit, if you love THG, what we're doing, if you love Titanic and you want to see Titanic recreated in full, as we are attempting our best to do, and you would like to support that and support us and help bring Titanic to your home, you can join our Patreon. We will share the link somewhere. It's all over. If you go to our website, if you go to any of our YouTube videos, in fact, if you're watching this on YouTube right now, it'll be in the link when it's uploaded after this. A link to our Patreon, and you can help support the project. If you don't know, Patreon is a site where you can support projects with monthly or regular donations over the course of time, and it's our Patreon that really keeps us going at this stage, because as you may know, this is we have recently refocused our vision for Titanic Honor and Glory to focus on you guys, and a casualty of that is we are not waiting for some magical millionaire to come give us money. So help us out on Patreon, and we will love you forever. So that's that. Let me see what else I wanted to say to start off right off the bat. I apologize. Last week I was out of focus for the entire stream. The poster behind me was the only thing in focus last week. And as you may notice, I am in a different spot in the room. My model's gone, so I don't want to look at a bare wall. My model's not gone. It's in a different room. Cool. We had a couple more super chats real quick, and then we're going to bring in our special guest of the day. So here's a good question. Can someone please timestamp the questions for Archive Done? Yeah, we can absolutely do some timestamps. If people want to get on that, we can also try our best to at least do some timestamps of like chunks of questions. Also, any reaction to Tom Linsky's recent syncing update? The syncing that they did for the anniversary, I assume, is what they're talking about. Yeah, it's great. They made that using the On the Sea of Glass like people, and so it's a very cool syncing. And the more real-time syncings we get, the more I don't know, the closer we get to what actually happened. So it's all good. And we will have to make one ourselves, and obviously for THG, we hope for there to be a syncing in the game. So yeah, loved it. Loved that syncing, and that whole live stream was a lot of fun with the On the Sea of Glass people. So cool. Hopefully that was all the super chats. Nope, we got one more. Eileen has a question from earlier as well. When will we hear back about volunteer applications? I got this question from you elsewhere. So if you volunteered, a lot of people sent in volunteer applications through our website over the last few weeks. Eileen, I'll have to remind myself what you applied for, if you want to put it in the chat, because different people have already been sent messages. Check your spam folders, everybody who applied and hasn't heard back yet, because a lot of you we have sent messages to. I have sent messages to, I believe, everybody who applied to be a voiceover actor. I sent out a little script for people to record and send back. If you were applying to be a modeler, I believe all of those people have been contacted. So check your spam folders if you have not heard back. And Eileen, if you have nothing if in your spam folder, I will make sure that you are contacted, because you did ask that question the other day as well. So great. that's it for super chats at first. I will try and keep on those as best I can. We have a lot of questions to get to. So that's great. Okay. And also, if you're asking questions in the chat, we do have members of our team in different chats, hopefully answering some questions that are easier to ask. Oh, yes. Drafting and modeling, Eileen. Yeah. Perhaps you check your spam folder, but we will contact you. Let's bring in Matt, and then we'll do this next super chat because this is something we want to talk about right away. So, ladies and gentlemen, our special guest for the evening, the afternoon, this is executive producer Matthew DeWinkeleer. Applause sound effects. Hi, Matt.
Yeah, we have sound effects. Hi. Hello, everybody. It's great to see everyone again. It's been a while, hasn't it been?
Yeah, you joined us at our first DevStream. Is that right? And was that the last time you were on?
It was, yeah, back in April.
Can you?
I'm here for anniversaries, aren't I?
Yes, absolutely. Here's our first question of the Q&A. Did anybody actually think that we would stick to the schedule of doing a stream every 2 weeks? Because I feel like people are like, nope. There's no way they do this every 2 weeks. But right. I told you in the first stream, if it's the last thing I do, I mean, we're here every 2 weeks. We do something. Pretty soon, we might have to take a week off because someone on our team is getting married in a couple months. So I may have to take like a week off. Maybe one of you guys can do a dev stream without me. I don't know.
I mean, but we have a big team now. We can find substitutes.
Yeah, you guys. Yeah, Chris can step in. You know, right. You guys can do it on your own. So I may not be here for one of these dev streams coming up. But so Matt, we have our first question, and I'm going to put it on the screen because it's a super chat. This is from White Star Line MC. Will the game be available on console? This is one of our most frequently asked questions. So we want to cover some FAQs before we get into the more detailed ones. So what's the answer for that one?
That question has been asked for years now, and I guess we're going to answer it the same way we've always answered it, which is we're focusing a lot on PC stuff for the time being, and we'll see down the road. It's just unfortunately the way it's got to go with, especially now when we're kind of focusing on what we're capable of doing, and once we are able to finish what we know we can do, we'll see what we can branch off to, because we don't want to get to that place where we were before, which was just these grandiose ideas like, yeah, we can promise this and this, which is great to shoot for the stars, but right now we know that we can get things out on PC and it seems like Mac, but we're not necessarily 100% positive as much as we'd love to, so we'll see.
Right. Yeah, and I was going to mention that Mac computers are in that as well, where it's
we're in that zone.
Yeah, we're absolutely starting with PC, as anybody who sees our game understands why we need to start on PC, and then we will work for the other ones when we can, because those are the more difficult things to get things onto. So cool.
Who says I smell like peas? Someone on Twitch says I smell like peas.
Oh, okay. Come on, Twitch. Be nice.
No, I know. Their username is Matt D smells like peas. Okay. Maybe. I mean, I do love peas. But okay.
Yeah. So another frequently asked question we get, just to get it out of the way, would be when is the game coming out?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
That's an easy question. The game is very much in development, so we don't have a date for when the game will be done. That's for sure. But we do have a release window for our first alpha release, which is going to be in Q4, which is roughly between October 1st and December 31st. That's Q4. That's what we're aiming for right now for our first release of the alpha, and then we will release in monthly updates.
It's nice to be vague, yeah.
Yeah. So it's it is, while it is vague, it is a vague release date. It is more of a release date than we have ever had before. It's always been like 2022, or we always say, right. Years down the line.
We always said 2 years before. It's my brother. Sorry.
Oh.
It's my brother who said I smell like peas.
Oh,
but we always used to say that it was always 2 years after investments.
Yes.
which was true because we would have the investment and then we'd have to do everything that would be involved to build the ship after we get all those funds to hire all the people. But now we're doing the method where we're self-funding the game, basically. So now we're not relying on that investment, and we're launching the alpha. So during the alpha phase, we're still asking for support from everybody, which is the Patreon system, super chats, and the store, which is the release date of the new store is TBD at the moment. It's coming soon.
Store under construction.
Copyright THG coming soon.
Yeah.
But it's very close to coming up. I did see a big super chat a moment ago that
let me jump back. Oh yeah, this is my favorite super chat we've gotten so far. Check this one out. Wait, oh my gosh, somebody will have to tell me what the number, what GPB is.
British pounds.
British pounds, 99.99 for 3 mugs of beer. Thank you so much to ARN.
99 bottles of beer on the wall.
Yeah, maybe that's the reference. Nicely done. Very love that super chat. And I see lots of people saying in the chat, would love to donate but can't. Totally understand. Yeah. We totally get it. Oh my gosh. We don't expect everybody to pitch in. That's the nice thing about Patreon is you can donate. It's like, what's the smallest amount you can donate on Patreon?
$2.
$2 a month. Is it?
Yeah.
So if you have $2 a month, that's awesome, and every bit of that helps and whatnot. So, but if that's also out of your range, I understand. We are all struggling, So if there was a project I wanted to support right now, I wouldn't be able to. So we get it, 100%, no worries at all.
So thanks for the 99 bottles of beer.
Yes, yes. Great Britannia says that's $142, by the way. Thank you very much for my American brain that doesn't know any don't know the numbers.
You gotta cross the pond, that's all.
Yeah, right. So great. So also keep in mind, since we're talking about Patreon, if you can donate, if you have the ability to donate $10 a month or more, you will have access to early updates in our upcoming alpha. So every time a new space is released in the alpha, you will have a space ahead of the rest of the community, which is fun. So you get to test some stuff out, let us know what works, what doesn't work. And then you just get it early, which is fun. So, Patreon, lots of cool stuff. And there's other things you can get on Patreon as well that we offer as well. Other perks, which is cool.
Other perks, digital ones, kind of, but a lot of physical ones now through Patreon's merchandise system that's getting its wheels adjusted still. But I still send out a bunch of physical perks, and we're finally getting our gears in turn for the 3D printed perks that we promised for forever. But it used to be just my Patreon for myself.
Yeah, right.
So we're catching up.
We're catching up on a lot of stuff still.
Yes.
It's been, this whole process of transitioning from, team members and the vision of the game and how we run it. Oh my gosh, there's been so much work, which is great.
I think that segues into one question I saw both on Facebook and you posted from Reddit, which was what goes on during a typical day of development at THG, which would be cool to talk about briefly, so everyone knows what happens.
Absolutely.
Because it depends on the day and who's doing what, because a lot of people do a lot of things here, it seems. It's crazy. So take a typical Monday, not a holiday like today, but Mondays, I just flipped everybody off. Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, we have meetings bright and early in the morning in the United States, and we have team meetings over Discord. We have our own little private Discord server where we all talk about what's happening. We get things up and running, and then people, it's basically you guys have been in a pandemic for the past year and a half. You know what Zoom meetings are and team meetings. But we also have people who are there as volunteers, researchers. See, Derek's talking about the 3D printed caspins we're doing. We have people who are there working on merchandise. We have Zeno who's there, who's always painting while he's also talking to us on Discord. Always. Yep. He's always streaming and showing what he's painting on. Because we're a worldwide team. Dominic is there, but he's already been working for 8 hours already because it's 4 p.m. In Germany. So he's already told us to call the 85 tasks he's accomplished for the day, which is modeling or going to other places to try to find us grants and funds and such. And then we break off and we do our various other tasks, which involve streamlining the process of what has to go into each room, which is what I've been doing for the long. I haven't been modeling myself, which has been a blessing, thank God. I'm glad that now my modeling tasks have been divvied up to people who I think are much more talented as modelers. I've found myself working as a researcher who knows what goes into every room of Titanic, and I can tell them in one of our other websites that we use called Hack and Plan, which I think Dominik talked about briefly when he came on to talk about what goes into the alpha features. It's a website which breaks down how the process will go and show the percentages of rooms. So we have volunteers too who have come aboard, and the day just goes on and on forever. Sometimes we've had 12-hour Discord calls where we're all working. And James, you've left and come back like 7 times.
Oh yeah,
to answer
that's what
questions.
I do. I leave after 2 hours, and then I come back when I have a question while I'm working on stuff.
Right, and we make discoveries and stuff. It's there's a lot going on, and I'm going to come back to Unreal 5 because that's what everyone's been wondering about. But like the other day when we were working on these 3D printed cast pins for the Patreons, and then suddenly I think Derek said, "What's the Unreal Engine 5 early access is released?" And we were like, "What, really?" And then everybody just suddenly jumped and started downloading it, and then that snowballed into its own new thing.
Right. Yeah. That's sort of like that's just sort of how we operate on at least Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Is we just there's always a chat, or there's always a call going, and people come and go while we all work on stuff. I tend to spend my mornings at, we do the call, and during the call and after the call, I do lots of administrative stuff like sending emails and responding to Reddit posts and helping people figure out, what their order number was on the store, or what their cabin number is and perks. If you've asked me questions, by the way, about your perks, about cabin numbers and whatnot, as soon as the store is finished, we will be able to.
We're getting there.
Yeah, it's all sort of connected.
TM coming soon. THG.
Coming soon. Our old phrase. But yeah, it's what we're working on all that stuff. So that's what I do in the first in the morning. I try to remind myself to have lunch, because I sometimes realize it's 6 o'clock and I didn't even eat. But I have lunch, and then I spend my afternoons writing stuff for the game, whether that be log entries or right now I'm working on the text for the website, like what each page should say, stuff like that. And then, but there are days where I spend my entire day planning a stream and figuring out what we're going to talk about on the streams. So these things take a lot of my time, which is fine. So yeah, we all have a different process, and we're all on different time zones. So, Dominik, for example, the calls, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday calls for him are at 2 p.m. So I don't know what he does in the evening or in the morning up till the call. And then we have people in Australia like Chris, who the morning call is actually at like 11 p.m. for him,
right?
Or 10 p.m. 10 p.m. So he stays for as long as he can, and then he has to go to bed. So, all right, good night, Derek, or good night, Chris. Good morning, everybody else. Like, it's a pretty fun experience. So before we get too far away from talking about Unreal 5, why don't we dive into Unreal 5? We have a super chat. I'm going to get to the super chat. Hector, I will get to your super chat because that's a big question I want to talk about in a minute. So don't worry, I will get to that. We do want to talk about Unreal 5 for a second, for quite a few seconds actually, because it is a big deal. It is, as I said at the beginning of the stream, we have been building THG in Unreal 4, which is one of the premium, best game engines for us and for what we're doing. If you've been following the project long enough, you know that we used to be on, what was it called? CryEngine?
That was CryEngine, yeah.
CryEngine, that was what it called. And we moved to Unreal 4 and now to Unreal 5. And there is a concern about, will it, delay the game? Do you have to start over and build everything brand new in Unreal 5? Is it really worth it? And then, Unreal 5 itself is being delayed. It was supposed to come out, I believe, right about now at this part of the year, but now they're saying it will be out at the beginning of next year, but it's early access right now. So like, oh, what? So are we not going to get the alpha until next year? There's a lot of worry, and there should be. I mean, it's it's a big deal that we're working with this Unreal 5 engine, and is it even worth it? Does it actually look good? Like, what's the deal? So to answer all of these questions, we have a special guest that you don't even know is coming, but he's waiting in the wings right now. So I'm going to bring him on. Folks, he was with us last stream?
Or it was last stream.
Last stream. This is our Unreal Engine lead and our programming lead, Derek Verveer, everyone.
There's 3 of us.
Hey, wow. Look at all of us. By the end of this call, we're just going to have everybody on the call.
You're going to be all like a tiny slice vertically.
Yeah, I think I can have up to 10 people on here. So
ooh, cool.
Hopefully everybody can hear everyone nice and easy. So Derek, why don't you talk a little bit about, in fact, I might just put Derek on screen so Matt and I can have a sip of water. Or I'll at least take Matt off. He can take a break. Go take a break, Matt. We'll be back in a second with Matt. All right, so it's just you and I, Derek. Do you want to just talk a little bit about what Unreal 5 is, why we're using it, what has the last few days been like with it, just whatever you want to talk about. And then when you're done, we will show some very early images of what THG looks like in these tests that we've been doing over the last few days.
Yeah, so it's quite unexpected, actually. I unexpectedly got Unreal 5 access last week. I think it was Wednesday, and we were just in a call, as Matt said, and then suddenly it was like, oh wait, it's out, it's ready. I was expecting an announcement of when it would come out, but what we have is basically it's an early access developer preview, so it's not technically out like to the public. Officially, it was supposed to release at the end of this year. For like the final engine, but it has it's been pushed back to sometime next year. And for the most part, like Unreal Engine 5 it's very similar to Unreal 4, which is good in the sense that we can basically just move our projects right over. Kyle and I were playing with it, and it really is as simple as just loading your project in Unreal 5, and it's there. Now, to take advantage of some of the new features, you do have to do a little bit extra work in it, but it really just to have it work like Unreal 5, it's just instant. Like you just move it right over. So yeah, but we have been playing around with some of the cool features. There's Lumen, which is their new lighting system. It's fully dynamic lighting system with bounce lighting, which they didn't have before. Unreal 4 had no, other than ray tracing, it did not have a dynamic bounce lighting system. We've sort of been using the static lighting in Unreal in the past, but that presents a few challenges when it comes to actually syncing the ship, and even things like dynamic time and weather, we can't do with static lighting. So, yeah, I mean, it's so far, like, it's still very early. There's a lot of bugs yet, and a lot of things that we're still figuring out. But certainly we will switch over to Unreal 5. But at this point, I think like the early access, our early access alpha, it's going to start on Unreal 4, and then sometime next year, once we have full access to the final or the fully released Unreal 5, we'll then make our switch over to that.
Yeah, and it's the big point to stress with everybody is that it's it does take, we do want to still do some work on things. You don't just we can't just take what we have in Unreal 4 and just put it in Unreal 5 and it's ready to go. But it is truly, you open Unreal 5 and you open the same files or whatever, and it just opens in Unreal 5. Like it's right there, ready to go.
I mean, let's just say like it releases next year in April, for example. At that time, we can literally take what we have in Unreal 4 in terms of the alpha that's already released and open it in Unreal 5 and continue the release like instantly, like without doing any additional work. And then over, the next few months, we can start to bring in those Unreal 5 specific features, like tweak the new lighting system, and the geometry system. That's the other thing that I want to mention that's really cool. We haven't quite decided how much we're going to use it, but to what degree. But Unreal 5 has a new system called Nanite, which is really amazing. Kyle did some. I don't know if we're going to show any images of that, but
I can pull one up. The candelabra thing.
Yeah. So basically, what it effectively allows us to do is we're virtually unlimited in the level of detail and polygons that we can display in the game. So in Unreal 5 or in Unreal 4, Kyle tested, I think he had maybe a dozen candelabra, and it was enough to basically kill his frame rate. And then he turned Nanite on, and I don't know. You ready to show that image, James?
Give me one more second.
Okay. But
I wasn't prepared.
Let's just say it's magic.
Yeah. The candelabra is a super involved object, and so it has lots of, what are they called? Polygons, right?
Yeah, polygons.
Lots of that stuff. So here we go. It's loading. So this is, I remember how many this is. I'll have to look while it's on screen. But this is I don't know if you can see it, Derek. This is gosh.
I think it's about 65,000 or about 300 billion polygons. So
this is okay, hold on. No, these aren't the candelabras. This is 71. Gosh, I don't even know what that number is. 71 billion polygons worth of chairs. So this is the chair from the dining saloon, I think.
What's on screen is the candelabra.
Oh, is it? Okay, I'm looking at the wrong thing. Anyway, okay, so these are candelabras, but there's billions of polygons on the screen right now. And if this were if this was like Unreal 4 without this nanite thing, basically Kyle's computer would blow up, right?
Yes. Oh, absolutely. This is. I mean, he's running it at the top right. It's very small, but he's running right now at 50 FPS in this image.
Mm-hmm.
If he had, I think his frame rate with even a dozen of these was half that. I think.
Yeah.
With Nanite off.
Yeah. This is 317 billion, I assume, polygons worth of candelabras. It's pretty insane.
Yeah, I think each one is several million, 5 million or something.
Okay.
So
pretty incredible.
These are basically our high poly source meshes. So they're what you see in demo 3 is a low poly version, but it has details baked from that high poly source.
And we estimate that image, the amount of polygons in this image is roughly 507 Titanics. Just based on very loose we're just multiplying things, and it's
Yeah,
not
but I think
not an
that's
exact number, but it's just an estimate. Just an estimate of what sort of data is in this this shot.
Yeah, and I think that's based on what the polygon count currently is in demo 3 as well.
Right. Okay.
So,
Multiplied times the amount of space that we have. Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's very loose, but the point of this being optimization is going to be a lot easier. There's going to be more room to do things, and things can be more detailed. Things can be just better looking in general, and
Yeah.
I would assume this would mean that maybe computers can handle more. Maybe if you have you don't have the top of the line computer, this is good news for you.
Yeah, and the other thing it means is, so what we use a lot, or we used to use a lot of LODs. So that's basically what an LOD is a lower detail version of a specific mesh. So when you get further away from it, it swaps into it. What Nanite basically is a seamless system that does that automatically, and it's totally automatic, so we don't have to do anything. So before, we would have to manually model those LODs for all of our objects, while now all we need to do is model the high detail once, which we've already been doing in order to bake those details onto the low poly ones. So basically, it does take more time to model the high detail than it does a mid detail, but we have to figure out, we may save some time overall, because there's less there's less time modeling LODs. There's no decals that need to be made, and things like that. So overall, and it will allow it to run better on computers as well, because it can scale. With it's totally seamless. So if you have a weaker computer, you can just turn down your resolution, and it will scale the amount of detail that Nanite gives you.
Great. Yeah. So from a layman perspective, like myself, I personally, I write and stuff. I don't do models, and I don't understand how to make a model. But so to me, based on what I'm seeing, the two things that are the biggest differences so far, it's early days, but is that this whole thing, this Nanite thing, where you can have so much more in your view without it, frame rates dropping and all that, and your computer blowing up. But also the lighting the interior lighting on the ship seems to be very different and much more realistic. And lots of that needs to be tweaked. But let's show some of that really quickly. Though, we had a super chat. Someone asked if we can do something about the food on Titanic. We would love to do that. We will do some sort of TU video or a stream all about that. But here's a question from Shane for 5 USD. Thank you for the super chat, Shane. Any idea or estimate how long it will take to finish the entire ship during the alpha phase? No idea, especially because as we build it, it will only get faster and faster and faster. So, B deck might take X amount of time. And so you'd think, all right, we'll multiply that times however many decks there were, and boom, it's that's how long it will take. But that's not the case. As we've talked about in previous streams, certain spaces will be much quicker to finish than others, because a lot of spaces are already fully researched and modeled and whatnot. Some spaces we haven't touched yet. Some spaces where we have so many pictures of. Some spaces there's no pictures of. So like the timeline is virtually impossible to pinpoint. Want to shout out Monskar, gave us had a super chat. I put it on screen earlier. I think Monscar's super chat last week was one I left on screen like for an hour on accident. And then I think there was one other super chat that I wanted to. Oh no, that was Matt being funny. Okay, cool. Great. So let's look at some images. So this is the first images of THG in Unreal 5, and again, these are tests that we did. So this is not final in any way. In fact, I think almost all of these were taken the day that Unreal 5 early access started. So this is good for two reasons. One, you can see how oh, my dog is growling at something. Oh well. So one, you can see how early on this is, that like literally hours after it came out, we took these images to just show you how early on this is, but also how quickly we can adapt into Unreal 5. That there's lots of work needs to be done, but you can see you basically load into Unreal 5, and this is the sort of thing you can get within a couple hours. So here is some of our first images. I love this shot. Let me get us out of here. Which button do I press to get rid of us? Okay, there we go. That's good enough. So as you can see, this is, and in fact, I have a little button for this as well. So work in progress. So this is the DDEC reception room. As I mentioned, the lighting is probably the biggest thing you're going to notice. This image is a test, very much a test. There's, if I'm saying this correctly, Derek, this is there's no like light sources in this. This is
yeah. So the it's important to point out, even though the lights are glowing, they're not actually producing any actual light from a point surface. All the light in the scene, there's a little bit of light coming off of those based on that, but the vast majority of light in the scene is being produced from the windows. So this isn't at all how it would actually look if those lights were on, as they appear to be with glowing. But we wanted to test how the bounce looked from just the windows in this.
Right. So if those lights weren't glowing at all, it would look much more like this. Those lights aren't really doing anything to the.
Not much. They are a little bit. Like if you look at the very right hand side of the screen, and around each light you could see a little bit of light. So that's the other thing that we didn't have before in dynamic lighting in Unreal 4 is any surface that's emissive was not generating actual light. It was just a fake glow effect.
Right.
So this is specifically testing the bounce and indirect lighting. So in real life, the light that comes in a window is going to bounce dozens of times, hundreds, thousands of times, and sort of diffuse through the room.
Right.
And Lumen sort of does a lot of that. That's what it's supposed to emulate.
Cool.
It's not quite ray tracing. It does work with ray tracing. That's a step up. That's even higher quality. But we haven't played around much with that yet. But that's maybe for a future stream. We might show something off.
Oh yeah. Let me I'll go through a couple more of these. This is just the same test from a different angle, just so you can see more of that. I just love the much more realistic way that the light is coming through those windows. Here's another shot. This one is a bit more. I believe there's the light in the ceiling light is actually like a light source. If I'm
I believe all the lights in the scene are actually also producing light.
Right.
So this is it's still a quick test, but it's much more. It's much closer probably to how it will look in the final game.
Right. Here's another image. This is a pretty cool shot. Just the way the light bounces is so real, so much more realistic than before. This next shot is a little spooky, which is pretty cool. This is the aft grand staircase, right?
I believe. Yeah, this is the aft grand staircase.
Yeah,
and again, want to mention that the only light source in this scene is the dome producing its bounce lighting, and so all this light is bouncing down the stairwell and filling the deck here
in a very realistic way. So this is sort of like what this area would look like with all the lights off in the middle of the day. There'd still be so much light coming through, which is awesome.
And I did nothing like this to get this image. I literally loaded the project in as is, turned on Lumen, and took the screenshot.
Yeah.
There was I could have put more work into it and make it made it nicer, but it's just straight out of the box with what we have out of Unreal 5.
Yeah, we wanted to showcase just what you can do with just by introducing the new engine. And then here's one last shot. This is a really nice shot of, I think this is a similar situation where, again, those lights, the ceiling lamps, light fixtures, those are, they have their little fake glow on them. They're not actually light points, but the dome is what is lighting this area, which is just gorgeous. And then this is a last thing I'll show. This is a shot. This, if you can't really tell, this is actually a real picture from, I believe, Olympic. Matt will have to nod his head yes or no if this is Olympic. It is Olympic. Great. And then here is our model in Unreal 5 with the way the lighting looks in black and white. So yeah. Pretty cool. Obviously, these are, I believe, the same room but different ships. That's why there's some minor differences between them. But beautiful, love it. Yeah. Okay.
The first time I saw that, it literally tricked me. I thought it was a photo.
Yeah, it really looks like the actual thing. So awesome. I don't want to spend too much more time on this. We'll have a whole stream on this this whole topic. We'll do a whole stream on Unreal, perhaps when we have more to show, or maybe when Unreal actually comes out for real. So yeah, we have some more super chats. Derek, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, no worries.
And sharing your expertise. And we're going to get back to answering people's questions, but we did want to cover this because we knew a lot of your questions were going to be about Unreal and what this means for us. So the short answer is it means great things for us. It means we can make this game easier and better, and it's going to look better, and it's going to be easier for you to play it. And while it won't be the alpha that we will be releasing in Q4, will be in Unreal 4 still. Once Unreal 5 is fully out and ready to go, it'll just be an update that we add to the game, and then we'll fine tune, and it'll all be good. There's nothing, we don't have to wait for Unreal 5, and we also don't have to do crazy hard work on it. But we will do hard work on it because we do hard work on everything.
Yeah. There's a super chat from Justin.
Okay.
He asks, do you guys plan on making it so it will run well with VSync off on a 1080 Ti? I tried maxing it out and it was a bit glitchy. Are you talking about the demo 3? Yeah, that's interesting. I have right now I have a 1080, just a 1080, and demo 3 runs really well for me. And so far, what the tests I've been doing in Unreal 5 have been running pretty well as well for me. Now it will definitely, I mean, it's hard to say long term, but we don't want to require you to have a super computer to be able to play the game.
Right.
You might not be able to play it at max settings, on a low end PC, but at least we want to give enough scalability in it so that if you have to, you can turn the settings and the details down enough so that you can at least play on lower end hardware. But at least, it's certainly in the outdoor levels at the beginning of the alpha at 1080 or 1080 Ti is going to be more than sufficient.
Great. Yeah, I think the super chat I just put up on the screen says they run a VR demo 3 and POTM in VR on 1070, and it's perfect.
Yeah, and I don't know. It's that's maybe a specific case, just a glitch or an issue with your hardware or something. I know it's I think it can run well. It's run. We have people who have run it on hardware even less than a 1070, and it's worked. So.
Great.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, Derek, thank you for joining us. We're going to get back to some other questions, and we will see you soon.
All right. Bye.
All right, bye. All right, folks, let's bring Matt back in. Hi, Matt.
Hi again.
So first question I got to get to because I said I would, and I waited too long, so now it's gone. But Hector, I think it was Hector Fernandez, I would say.
It was, yeah.
Hector asked this question, but somebody else backed it up just as a reminder. So I'll put it up. Parker Allen says, "Hey guys, can you answer Hector's previous super chat about NPCs? Are they still improving UE5? Not sure if you know it. I know that question. The people making UE5, the early access is so they can continue to make it better and better and better and better and better. So there's a bunch of features that aren't even in it yet, much like our alpha will be. So in fact, yeah, we'll be releasing the alpha and updating Titanic Honor and Glory with new features and doing things while they're doing that to Unreal 5. It'll be a fun time for everybody. But this other question about NPCs, this is a big question that we've been getting a lot. So, and there's a whole bunch of questions actually. I'll call them out for just a second. There was one on Facebook from Jeff Brister about if you're in third class, could you go into first class, and would anybody look at you funny? And there's lots of questions about just the narrative story mode aspect, and a lot of people commenting on that, saying THG canceled all of this, like they're not doing a story mode, and it's just going to be like so there's obviously a lot of things to be answered here. So just to answer the NPC narrative story mode, all those questions in one sort of section real quick. So first of all, we are as I've said multiple times in these streams, we are absolutely still planning to do a story mode of some sort. We are, it's our new slogan basically, but we are focusing on the ship. Like we're going hard on just finishing Titanic, getting it to you so you guys can walk the decks of Titanic, and we're going to have features like log entries and collectibles, just things that will give the ship life and give you something to do. And the great part about log entries, and I think why it works so well, is that even just with log entries and collectibles and just some basic things in our tour mode of Titanic, there's going to be so much to do that it really will be, a game in itself. And we could stop there, but we don't want to, is the thing. So once the ship is further along, closer to being finished or fully finished, the larger features that are much more intense, those will be then worked on and added, such as a sinking mode, such as a story mode. So they are in our long-term sites, sinking mode and story mode. I feel like sinking mode is in the slightly closer sites. I think story mode is sort of would be our like last big thing to add to the game. So we do plan on having a story mode where you are playing a character. The murder mystery storyline that has been a part of this project for so long, that is absolutely scrapped. We are no longer doing the murder mystery, Owen Robert Morgan framed for murder, that stuff. That's not happening anymore. And while I'm mentioning it, Robin is also not happening. Robin has served his time on Titanic. So that stuff is all gone. So the story mode that we are currently envisioning is a different story altogether. But you will play a character, you will be on Titanic, and you will be experiencing the voyage of Titanic. So with that in mind, however, that brings in the question about, will we be doing NPCs? NPCs are also, long-term sites, something that we would love to have a part of the game. But if anybody out there who follows game development, NPCs are very, very difficult to make. Isn't that right, Matt? They're very expensive. They're very hard to pull off. And the thing is, if you're making a game like a game for Nintendo, and the environment is cartoony and fun and colorful, the NPCs can be whatever you want them to be. They can be little blobby people that are cute and fun. But when you're making a game like we are making, where the interiors of Titanic, the whole ship is as realistically beautiful as possible, the NPCs need to match that. So the NPCs we would need would be so intense and expensive. And so one of the things that sort of freed this project when we decided not to pursue investors as like a daily task, and when we decided to focus on the game and getting the game to you, the first thing that we thought is, let's not focus on a game that requires NPCs, because NPCs are just such a large task to handle. So at the moment, everything we are planning for Titanic: Honor and Glory has no need for NPCs necessarily. I would like to hope that by the time we get around to a story mode part of the development, so the ship is well on, almost finished or possibly finished, sinking mode is being implemented and people are enjoying it, then we, okay, it's time to start really thinking about this story mode. I'd like to think that our situations have changed. Perhaps our capabilities are much better and NPCs are no problem. But at the moment, the story mode that we are envisioning, that I am working on, actually does not require NPCs. It's very hard to describe. It's very much a work in progress, and we will talk about it at a much later date. But it's you will be exploring a Titanic that I promise you is full of life, and it's full of the history of Titanic. But it might not be the murder mystery 2,200 NPCs that we have talked about in years past, because that's 2,200 NPCs is wild and crazy. So we're not going to be doing that. So I hope that answers the question. We are planning a story mode. You will be playing a character. We will be hopefully implementing NPCs, because by the time we work on a story mode, hopefully we're all in a different a different world, and maybe financials have changed slightly. But at the moment, NPCs are not in our immediate sights, because we have to focus on the ship, get the ship done, get the ship to you. So I hope that answers the question. Lots of information. And we will have a stream all about story mode, NPCs, and all that stuff. But I will point out, we did have another question that somebody asked: what about those NPCs that you guys already have? We did pay for, we had a team make us, I believe it was one male and one female NPC. It was like Violet Jessup and Bruce's May, I want to say. We do have those, and we do have the ability to use those. I think we could be creative and use them in some way, but a Titanic filled with 2 NPCs might not work out too well. People have suggested using them in tour mode, just as like a tour guide thing. Like, there's perhaps you will see something like that. But again, the 2,200 NPCs, that will not happen. But we do have very creative ways of bringing you a narrative, bringing you a story mode, regardless. So that'll be great. Yes, and this is a good time to bring up this super chat. Oladi says Unreal's MetaHuman creator will come in handy. We have seen that, and we have looked at it, and yeah, if that ends up being a very viable option for us, as we look deeper into it, as we progress through the to story mode development, it looks really cool so far, what we have seen. And we have another super chat here from Justin C. Will it work if you have a monitor? I don't know this answer. I don't know if you do.
I think Derek.
Derek maybe
answered it already.
Oh, he answered it already. Great.
Yes, I think he's helping. He's helping in the chat.
Great. So that's that. And this is a super chat here. Will the cake be a lie? The cake is always a lie. I'm pretty sure we know all about that.
Yes.
Great. So I've caught up on the super chats. Matt, do you have a question that you want to answer?
Oh, sure. Let me go to our little document right here.
Yeah.
People are asking about multiplayer a lot. That question came up.
Sure.
You know, that's along the lines of the same as beyond story mode, as
Right.
you know, what comes further down development. Arf, 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 arf.
Oh, you can hear that? Great.
I heard that. Yeah, it's okay.
My dog, man. She's nuts.
That's okay, but that's another question that gets asked a lot, which is not about your little puppy, but will we see the dogs on Titanic? Yes.
Ah.
Well, we won't see them anymore because they're technically NPCs, but
right.
Of course,
if there are NPCs
log entries,
one day, oh yeah,
there
will be. Yeah.
There'll be definitely be log entries about the dogs
for sure. Yeah, no, but if we do have NPCs in the game, way down the line, I'm sure we will got to have a dog in the game as well, because that's you know, you got to be able to go into the kennels and see them if that's where they
live. The kennels are part of the ship, you know.
Yeah.
I just saw somebody say focus on the ship, which thank you we're doing, but
that is our new slogan: Titanic, honor and glory, focus on the ship.
Yeah, but the ship is more than just the physical ship. It's also the people who are in the ship and the stories, not just their week-long voyage on Titanic. It's, you know, the history about them and what they've experienced, and it's that world about Titanic, and that's how we became that, went to that world of wanting to create a humongous Titanic game, and why we've now, even though we've collapsed into making a smaller game, we still want to teach our players and those who experience Titanic, honor and glory a lot about these people, not just the ship herself. And your whole idea about the log entries, James, and the journals, and the spatial entries and everything that goes into it, and even down to how to move a winch, or how to lower the anchor, or work the turn on the stoves in the galley in the restaurant kitchens. You know, it's all about learning the history of the era and Titanic, and that's how. But then in our eyes, that's focusing on the ship. So when someone asks a question, well, why is interactivity really important to us? Why do we really want to focus on that? I've seen a lot of people right now ask, like, well, everything, can we turn on light switches? Can we turn off lights? Can we open cabinets? You know, people still are asking to do these things for, you know, it's not just fun from a gaming aspect to walk around and be like, flick all the switches, but you know, they want to know, like, this is how it, I think people want to know, like, would that be doable on Titanic 100 years ago? Or is it the same way to do it on Titanic? You know, you can't just go up to an elevator, push a button, and expect it to go down. You have to go in the elevator, and a young lad of probably 14 or 15 has to pull down the bar or handle or whatever it's called. Chris is going to yell at me because it's called something specific, and the elevator moves, and he has to, like, manually adjust to when to stop the elevator so that it lands right on that deck. You know, it's done in a certain way, and that's why we want to have the interactivity in there, so that you are learning about the Titanic, which we're focusing on.
Right. And as I learned recently, you could not turn on the elevator would not move until the gate closed.
Shut the gates.
For safety purposes, which is pretty cool. And then, you know, on the same note, someone asked last stream, will you be able to turn the lights off in public spaces? And because of that, I got on like a bit of a wormhole doing research on how the electric inner workings of the ship went. And I know, who knows?
I still can't. I had to figure that out for just our purposes, and just for my own ridiculous desire to understand how the entire damn ship functions. Sorry, I swore.
Exactly.
But yeah, you know, it's like I can't understand how, like, there's electrical distribution panels, and then it goes to fuse boxes, and then you got the fuse boxes, but no, the fuse boxes goes to the district panels. It's a horrible mess. You have to know complete wiring, not just like wiring from 1912, but you have to understand British and Irish wiring from 1912, and which land had their hand in it and which one, because there's no standardization back then. So it's like it's company to company. It's awful. It's terrible. So I can't look at Cunard Line. I can't look at other ships built by different companies. It's very stressful.
Right. It is. But that's the
beauty,
the mission that we have taken on, and we very happily bang our heads against books and being like, how do I know what this switch does? And then at the end of the day, sometimes you have to just make your best historic guess. I mean, yes, we might be able to say that the distribution panel in the first class entrance would probably do the lights for the reception room or whatever. Yeah. But all we really can know, I assume, something I read recently was that each switch in the distribution panel controlled about 4 different actual lights in the ceiling. But there's no way we will ever know, that I'm aware of, what each switch did. Ideally, we'd love to know, like, okay, the first switch does the first 4 lights, the second switch is the other side, and then they work their way to the center, or is it just all the way across? I don't think we'll ever know that for real. So we kind of just have to guess that, and use history to our advantage and try and do the best we can. So yes, that's I don't even remember what the original question was, but we have a super chat. Who knows what INR is? I'm not sure. 400.
It's rupee, Indian.
Oh,
rupee,
yeah. That makes sense. Thank you, Irene, for 400. No questions. Just keep up the amazing work. Thank you so much. Very sweet. Okay, so let me hit some questions. This is from, I believe, this might be Reddit. We had a bunch of Reddit questions. Will the last mega demo of THG 2019 be released? No, we will not be releasing mega demo. It was something we thought of a while ago, but we will not be releasing that. We're now focusing on the alpha. Great question from Deechware. I don't know. This is on Reddit as well. When this is all over, will you finally rest and watch the sunset on a grateful universe? Yes, we will. This is my alt account 55 asked some questions about Unreal, which I hope that we answered well enough. Eileen, when will we hear back from the volunteer applications? We answered that. Craven 75 on Reddit asked, as development will be staggered, will things be patched in? Does a possibility exist that some form of story will be patched in? Hope we answered that question. And then we only have 2 more questions from Reddit, and then Matt, I will pass it over to you to answer something. Sure. Yeah, so why not me though? 78 asked, you mentioned in the first stream, in the narrative you are considering, what will that look like? Historically accurate missions like shoveling coal, or more of the initial plan was, meaning the murder mystery? I will answer that really quickly and say, in addition to everything we just talked about, we are focusing on history more than anything now. History over drama every time. And luckily, the Titanic is one of the most dramatic events in history, so you don't really need to make things up to make Titanic interesting. So I will say, I don't want to talk about story mode too much because it's so far down the line, and it's very much, I'm writing a lot about it right now, but it's not the forefront of our attention. We're trying to focus on log entries and getting the ship to you guys, because if we focus too much on a story mode, then we're wasting time, and then we have to delay, and we don't want to do that. So, but I will say that the story mode that I'm currently envisioning for our game is much more focused on history and actual things that took place, and the real people, and less about how do we place a fictional story on board, where you're focusing on the fictional story and there happens to be history around you. The actual drama of the story mode will come from the real stories of real people. And so that, I think that's a good enough answer. And my last question from Reddit, and then Matt, I will throw it to you. And this is something that I answered last stream, I believe, or 2 streams ago. This is from UK, a bunch of numbers on Reddit. Why are we waiting 6 months for something partially released already? other than animation of movable objects. If the spaces are free, why not just release the voxel and slowly add on the movable parts? And then they asked a question about Unreal 5, which again I hope we answered. Is the release of the game dependent on Unreal 5? No. But to answer that question, as I mentioned a couple weeks ago, super quick, because the partially released demos that we have given you are just that. They are demos. They don't do anything. The lighting is not real. Nothing moves. Nothing. You can't even open a door. You can't do anything in those demos. And yes, we can add a door very easily, but there are other things that take time. The lighting, for example, is something that we need to work on pretty extensively. We have a lot planned to turn these demos into a game. I mean, the log entry thing, for example, I know a lot of fans out there don't need it. Some people, they just want to walk around Titanic. Why just give us Titanic? I don't care what it looks like. I don't care what the features are. I just want to walk around Titanic. And I even had a discussion with somebody on Reddit, I believe, where they said, honestly, just give me the full Titanic as if it was Adventure Out of Time, like those graphics. Like, I don't care if the graphics are bad. I just want to walk around Titanic. And that's very admirable. I feel that way sometimes, but we are trying to make a video game in 2021 that is competitive, and not competitive in the game, but the game is competitive in the video game industry. People want to play it, especially people outside the Titanic community. This game is obviously being made for the Titanic community. There's no doubt about that, but we'd love a chance that people who aren't into the Titanic, that we can get them into the Titanic, so we can make the Titanic community bigger. And if we release a game that looks like it's from 1996, the audience will never grow outside of the Titanic community. In fact, it might even make it even smaller to just people who played Adventure Out of Time. So we're trying to turn these demos that you've played into something worth playing, like with actual features. I know people think it looks good enough, just give us the ship, and that's not. While we are trying to think more about what we can handle without millions of dollars, and so we do still want to shoot for something. We're not settling for just giving you what we have and signing off and saying, have fun with this half. I don't want to half-assed. I don't want it's. We want to make something worth it for you and for us. So that's why we're taking 6 months to turn what has been partially released into an actual release, a real video game. So I hope. Hopefully that answers that question. Yeah. So Matt, take a half realized. Thank you. I have a poor vocabulary.
You're fine. Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead, Matt. Ask a question. Answer a question.
I'm gonna jump off of what you said about something. I don't know where my segue went. It disappeared. But another question that pops up a lot is, will we create either Olympic, California, not California, oh my gosh, Carpathia, wow, etc., or nomadic traffic, one of the main ships or tenders connected with Titanic story, since we already have Britannic and Britannic Patroness of the Mediterranean. And one of our most talented modelers, perhaps most talented researchers, is Gio Castro, who loves making models of Olympic and Britannic in their various RMS passenger configurations, Britannic's imaginary, never realized passenger configuration. He has various forms of their service. So we have those in our backlog of ideas, and so we're still focusing on Titanic, but you never know what happens once Titanic Honor Glory gets finished. We joke about that sometimes, saying, what's going to happen? That's another question that was asked too. What will happen when this is all done? Didn't somebody say that?
Yeah. Will you enjoy your life?
will you finally rest and watch the sunset on a grateful universe? I don't know if the universe will be grateful. I don't know what's happening with the world and with Titanic.
Right.
I don't. Will we want to actually start creating Olympic in in 1911 or in 1930 when the Grand Staircase is painted green, and listen to people complain about that. I don't know, but it's fun. But I know we decided that those will be additional experiences, not
Right.
connected with Honor and Glory. So there will be, oh my God, Kyle's going to yell at me, but those will be the dreaded, at least Olympic will be, DLC things.
Ooh.
Ooh, yes, because they're going to be a lot of work.
Yeah, for sure.
So yes, but another question. So thanks for that question, everybody. But yeah, those were exciting to me. I dream of making Olympic in her various forms. It's fun.
Oh yeah.
It won't be as popular to be as popular to us real Titanic nerds, but
Right.
Titanic is there's Titanic the ship, and then Titanic the media amazing story that has become a pop culture phenomenon.
Right.
And people who love Titanic for what she was and her actual story, they have to embrace that side of Titanic's now history, or you're going to just suffer and complain about it the whole time.
Matt, I've got some super chat questions for you.
Sure, go ahead.
This one you can answer, hopefully. This is from Jenga Master. Yeah. Will the 3D model have a central propeller with 3 blades or 4? I recently read that Engineering Notebook was discovered stating that it had 3 blades.
I messaged them in the chat, but yes.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3. The central propeller had 3 blades. Everybody,
which is a big deal. Because
it's a big deal for us, I guess, everybody.
Yes, yeah. I mean, it's always thought to have been 4, but recently. So this,
you guys you have to get your head out of the notion of what you're looking at is Titanic. It was Olympic, and then Titanic was not what we assumed. We always assumed it was this way, it was beautiful, wonderful, lovely ship, and then it turns out to be a whole different way. You guys got to get out of that mindset.
This super chat, I put it on screen. I just want to say it got cut off because it was too long, but it says, "I'm glad you decided to focus on the ship." Thank you very much. I'm glad you are on board with that. Pun intended. All right. This next one from Ricardo, super chat. Will the game be available for Linux distributions? Keep up the good work. Best regards from Sao Paulo, Brazil. Do you know that answer?
Did Derek answer that question?
Is that a Derek? Derek, if Derek hasn't answered that question, please do. So keep an eye out for that, Ricardo, or Kyle, anybody who knows the answer to that. Okay. So that's, I think that's it for super chats for right now. Let's jump back to, I had some Facebook questions that people have sent over the last few. I'm trying to go through the, we put out posts on our Facebook and on our Discord and on our Reddit, what people wanted to know about the game. And so we're trying to go through some of these.
Yeah, I saw a good Facebook question. I saw 2 that were related. Of course, I don't know, I can't find their names, but I know someone asked basically how far until we can explore the engine rooms, the turbine engine room, and then connected to that kind of is it's a Discord question, but I'm still going to connect them as what direction is the team considering expanding the alpha once we finish BDEC?
Oh yeah, that's a great question.
I think they're connected because we plan on finishing BDEC. Are we going to go up? Are we going to go down? Are we going to go to ADEC? Or are we going to go to CDEC? So what's we don't know exactly what our route is yet within the ship. We have to figure out how BDEC goes and how smoothly that is, and where the hardships will be, and what's the hurdles are, to see if we should go up, which might arguably be easier, or down, which might be easier because we've done a bunch of cabins and there's more cabins on CDEC. There's lots of different reasons to go either way, and depending on what we want to get to you guys and what you want to change for. Do you want more deck? Do you want more cabins? There's a lot of things that depend. We might go either or. We're not sure. So that's something that's up in the air. So the same can be said for when you'll be able to explore the engine rooms. But those are and have always been the most complicated spaces on Titanic. And I know people really want to be able to explore them, as do I, but they're not just complicated in the form of modeling and historical aspects, but also sound design, and when it comes to interactivity and the journal entries, the log entries, there's going to be a lot of fascinating ones down there too. So there's a lot that has to be dealt with when it gets down to the lower tank top areas of the ship. So
Yeah,
that's probably going to be like one of the final aspects of the alpha area of Titanic and DeWinkeleer before we go to sinking modes or even story modes, any other modes,
right.
I would say.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the engine rooms are pretty intense stuff. I mean, like I said, I was reading a little bit about the electric and like the dynamo room, I guess you could call it, where the electricity for the ship was generated, and how the electricity went from there to, like Matt was saying, like fuse boxes and then distribution boxes, and it's all terribly interesting stuff, but lots to look at there. Meanwhile, the boat deck is very well photographed in one way or another on Titanic, Olympic, or Britannic. So like there's quite a difference in spaces. The deeper you go in the ship, I feel like the harder it is. And as Matt pointed out in his TU video, which I have mentioned a lot because I love this video about the interior photos of the ship, there aren't very many interior photos of a ship because photography at the time sort of required really good lighting. So all photos of Titanic are usually well lit spaces because they needed a lot of natural light for photos to even look good at all. So why would there be a photo of like the engine room? Because there's just like no light coming in pretty much whatsoever. So yeah. So thank you. The super chat's been up for a while, but Vampire Bites, $50 from them. Thank you so much. And then we got one here from I don't know how to say that. Montage. Hi guys, glad to see you a lot more. Absolutely, we are glad to see you a lot more. So just to hit some easy questions real quick. Eric Hernandez on Facebook, will there be a sinking mode? We are working on it. We are absolutely planning for that.
We hope so.
It's very important to us, because what is a Titanic game without a sinking mode? It's still very much in flux, like how we're going to handle it and whatnot. These are talks that need to happen at some point. But even when we're on a call, like we were talking earlier, we talk all day on Mondays, Wednesday, Fridays. There's just like a call always going if you have a question and whatnot. And even if we find ourselves talking, did I turn myself down? Hold on. You can hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. I think I hit my mic or something. Okay. I can't hear me anymore, but I can, whatever. So as long as people can hear me, I guess we're okay. But when we're on our calls and if we talk too much about, story mode, or we talk too much about, things that are just, there's really no use in spending an hour talking about NPCs right now, because even as a team, focus on the ship. Like let's talk about stuff that we need to do right now just to keep things going. Great question. Mary Johnson on Facebook, at one point you were talking about creating every passenger on the ship. Are you still aiming to do that? No, we are not. We do hope to have every passenger on the ship represented in some way. Each person who's on Titanic means the world to all of us. And so, in some fashion, just the record of their existence on Titanic is important to us. So whether that be in log entries or in a possible story mode, having everybody represented, so you can at least know that they were there. Dean Cuthbert said on Facebook, what happened to the characters you already modeled, such as Bruce Ismay? I answered that earlier, that yes, we do have them. They are available to us. We can use them. Whether we will or not is, we'll see further down the line. Let's see, trying to think of, see if do you got one, Matt? You want to take over for a second?
Check. Yeah, sure. Sorry, I'm also trying to respond to some people.
Oh, go ahead. I can
chat too. Sometimes if people like to ask some kind of researchy technical questions, it's okay. I can try to do that. Cool. I happen to know a thing or two about Titanic, I guess I can say. I don't like I hate the term expert and historian. It freaks me out. but someone just added me. They did the little, they added me. I'm old, but they
Sure.
added me and said like, what's the White Star buff color? And I'm like, well, I don't know how to describe that, but I fall to a guy named Ken Marshall and his color for Titanic. I trust him. I trust him the most with colors. Even colors when it comes down to ones that are from black and white photos, and ones that even paint that has been recovered from the wreck. He has vials of. Should I say that? I don't know. He's been at the wreck, so he knows a thing or two as well. He's a master at paint. He's a painter in colors. So if Ken Marshall has picked a color for a certain reason, he knows his things, and it's not just because he has a amount of flout in the community, because he's been working on things for X amount of years. It's because it's because he's been researching this ship for this amount of years, and he has this knowledge. He has this understanding. That's why we have to trust him on this matter.
Right.
So, and that comes to the colors of the White Star buff. His buff has matured over the years to become what it is today. So I would trust his buff. Is what I'd say. Yes. So
yeah, he's an expert for sure.
Yeah. I'm going to read a question that just popped up in the chat through I lost it. Through the Looking Glass. Imagine making the ship split in half will be complicated to animate. So are you still on the discussion on how to do that in syncing mode? Yes, we are. I will leave that at that, because we are definitely looking at ways to animate the destruction of the ship already this far down before we even get into syncing mode, because we know how intense that will be. So just the breakout of the ship we are thinking about.
Right. Let's see. This is a good question from Eric, perhaps Mestriner. I'm not sure. Sorry, on Facebook. Will it be possible to explore the ship without any gameplay, just walking around and enjoying it? Absolutely. It is a very important thing to me and to everybody on the team, but something I said from day one is that the every feature that we are making, log entries, whatever, you can turn all of it off. It does not have to be there. And any sort of thing that appears on the screen in terms of like a HUD, if there even is one, you can turn all of that off. You should be able to just have the screen with just the image or what you're seeing, and walk around and just live in the moment.
Just like real life.
Yeah, I that's what I do in most games anyway. I try and turn HUDs off in all cases because I prefer that experience. So yes, that will absolutely be the case there. Let's see. Here's a good question from Robert Viles. Perhaps can you alter the course or just head on with the iceberg? That's a different game than I think what we're trying to do. There was a plan at one point for THG. I remember reading about it back when I first joined the team years and years and years ago, that you'd be able to, control Titanic and move it around, and there'd be like a mini game where you could avoid icebergs or something. No, not doing that. Titanic is Titanic. It sinks and you get to experience it, but we will not be doing anything in the realm of allowing you to change the outcome or anything like that.
You cannot change history.
Right. All right. Looking for more questions. Peter Sprindili, will the game be done by October? October is the first month that we expect to possibly release the first update of the alpha. That's when quarter 4 begins. And we are planning between October 1st and December 31st. So the game will not be done by October. Perhaps it will begin to be released in October, which is cool. And then Jonathan, I won't even try and pronounce this because it looks French to me, but it was on Facebook. Can you make a day-night cycle for the exterior and interior? Yes, that's a big thing that we talk about, because I think all of our demos have taken place during the day. And obviously Titanic is very famous for an event that took place at night. So we will have a day-night cycle that you can turn on and off. You can just like set the time and it just stays that time. We want to give you as many options as possible. And then last question for me, and then Matt, you can take one if you'd like. Carter Rhodes on Facebook asked, will SS Californian and RMS Carpathia be represented in the game's main story mode? As I mentioned, the story mode is very far down the line, but we have no, our new slogan, focus on the ship. We're focusing on Titanic. Obviously, by the time the ship is done and we're working on a story mode, who knows what our situation will be in terms of finances, in terms of following. Anything is possible. But right now, we are not planning on those two ships being involved in the story mode. Obviously, once the game is finished and we can talk DLCs, I don't know. But right now, no, we are not. We got a super chat here, $20 from John Morissette. Thank you very much, John. Matt, do you have a question?
I do. I'm going to stick to my design questions because that's what I'm somewhat good at. And I was known as the interior modeler for so many years, unfortunately. That stressed me out. I forgot who it was that asked, the first class corridors on B deck and C deck were very fancy compared to all the other corridors of the ship, which were all the same looking. And they asked, can I confirm if there were no handrails and no carpets in those corridors? And I confirmed that there were no handrails, but we now believe that there were possibly carpet runners, which are just, if you're in a hotel and there's just carpeting, and that just looks the same throughout the entire length of the corridor. Just like the James Cameron movie. We think that's true now, and based on evidence before, because on every other ship, like Lusitania, Mauritania, Belgianland, a couple of the German liners that we've seen, in their most ornate and opulent corridors around their suites, they often have carpet runners for the sake of sound reduction. You don't want to have loud feet and shoes walking on linoleum or Indian rubber tiles. So we do think that they had carpet runners there, and there's no photographs and there's no written acknowledgement saying there's absolutely no carpet runners in the first class corridors in this section. And so we might put it in for this area first class. So that's one of these design questions I like to mention now, and I didn't come up with that. I didn't figure that out. That was our modeler and researcher, Gio Castro again, who also the other month figured out that the Grand Staircase dome, sorry everybody, was not illuminated from the back side, or was not illuminated at all whatsoever. Mm-hmm. So it was just illuminated by the chandelier, electrolier in the center. Many Grand Staircase domes had for the longest time, we thought it had those little lino lights, as they were called, which were basically fluorescent tubes of 1912. And you can see the lino lights in Demo 3 around the reception room stained glass. We have one open. You can look inside and you can see little lino lights on the side. But no, there's definitely no evidence absolutely for the lino lights around the dome of the Grand Staircase. And it's going to be a different look for the nighttime feel of Titanic's Grand Staircases. So yeah, Gio is the one who finds all these little secrets of Titanic and Olympics first class areas, and he's like, he messages me and says, I have a crazy idea, it's probably stupid, I'm an idiot. I'm like, oh, you stop it. It. That's what happens with all the researchers message me. They say I have a crazy idea, it's probably dumb. I'm like, no, you tell me that crazy idea, I'm gonna love it. So yes.
Yeah, and that's what's pretty awesome about Unreal 5 is how we might make this discovery or a change in the assumption of how something looked in regards to lighting, like the dome being lit. So at night in Unreal 5, you will be able to go into the Grand Staircase and see possibly a more accurate.
We haven't even tried that yet. Kyle or Derek, turn off the dome. in
Yeah.
Unreal 5. I haven't
Ooh,
seen it yet.
that'd be cool.
We haven't done that
Yeah.
yet. Turn off the dome.
Turn off the dome in Unreal 5 at night, and let's see what the Grand Staircase might have
Turn off
actually
the dome.
looked like at night.
Hashtag turn off the dome.
Maybe we could share that image later. I
Oh,
feel like I feel like it's mean to tease this without showing it. Maybe not on the stream if we run out of time, but maybe we can share that image of an idea of what it might have looked like. Who knows?
Right.
So I had a couple questions just to wrap up the Facebook questions. I tried to write all of them down. Will you, I think it was a question about, oh yeah, this is from Servesh on Facebook. Will you guys be porting over Demo 3 to UE5 and re-releasing it, or transition straight to UE5 with the alpha? The demos are what they are now. We're not going to, again, we're focusing on the ship. We're focusing on our on the game now, on the alpha. So to port Demo 3 over to UE5, even if it only took an hour of our time, we're not gonna do that. We're gonna just stick with hashtag turn off the dome. So yes, we're going to focus on THG, not the alpha THG. And then there was only one more on Facebook, and then we can just focus on the chat. That I know you guys in the chat have been asking so many questions, and I know people have been answering them, but I'm trying to answer the questions that have been coming in all week. Oh yeah, this was it. Justin Reeves. So what we have available in Demo 3, will that also be available in the free alpha release? So this was something we talked about at length in the alpha release stream, but not everybody saw that, of course. And that is that right now the free alpha is all of B deck, from the forecastle deck to the poop deck. That will all be free, and including the well decks as well, which are technically not on B deck. But that'll be the full free alpha. And once we're finished with that, we will move on to the rest of the ship, and it won't be free anymore, but there will still be ways for people to experience the alpha as we build it beyond that point. So what we have released in Demo 3, a lot of it is on B deck. So yeah, we're going to be able to use what we've already made for Demo 3. Granted, we want to update it and fix it up and all that. But the other spaces on Demo 3, we will not be releasing in the free alpha. But all of those spaces, being that they're, like Scotland Road, for example, is not on B deck, but it's an area that we have researched extensively. And just because we aren't releasing it in the free alpha doesn't mean it's, not being used. Once we get to Scotland Road, it's, ready to go. It just, needs to be improved upon, optimized, that sort of thing. But all those spaces, they are already done. I know it feels like, it's a question we get. Why not just you already made the Demo 3, so why can't you just put Scotland Road in there? Because like I said earlier, we're trying to turn Scotland Road into something worth walking around, and filling it with log entries and filling it with interactivity and whatnot. So we're not just walking around a boring hallway with baked lighting and nothing really works or anything like that. So we're getting some super chats here. This is for $5. Do it. Turn it off. Turn off the dome. People want to see what this looks like. Hopefully, maybe we're working on that. And a very big super chat from Matt. Turn off the dome. Cool. Matt, do you have a question, or do you want me to keep going?
Okay. I'm some rapid water down. Some rapid fire questions.
Go for it.
Right here. A lot of people are asking about water physics in the game.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Down the line we're looking into it though, but it's similar to how we're thinking about. It's in the back of our head in the planning stages, but we're working on trying to figure out how the ship's going to break in half. We got to be vague, but it's on our plates, it's in our minds, like I said. But it's our idea for doing it is the same for how the ship's going to split. That's the most I can say about that. Once we figured out how we're going to tackle it properly this time, instead of having Unreal's water flood through like underneath where there shouldn't be any water coming through,
Right.
cutting into bulkheads and such. We'll immediately show it to you all. It's still popping up, the dome. I don't know what to say about. I can't give an opinion about why the unrelated question about Oceanics funnels were too tall, but I guess someone thinks Oceanics funnels are too tall. I think they were just skinny. You know, all funnels are beautiful.
Yes, all funnel sizes are acceptable.
All funnel sizes are special. A DLC for the wreck. This is when I would. This is if we were talking about this in our Discord, our where we discuss everything, which is full of many people who work on the team, or volunteers, some historians, researchers. If we were in a group call and someone brought up the idea of a DLC of the wreck or a wreck model version or something, I would insert a GIF of Andre the Giant at this point in time. That scares me, but
Yeah.
The wreck is a completely different ship than RMS Titanic.
We would be starting a whole different project, basically.
Yeah, it would be. There's no way to research one wreck of the Titanic, mainly because it's never been fully researched. Like when it was found, the 1985 version, there's no complete record of it. There's no complete record of the 2010 version when they even went around and filmed the entire thing in HD. You'd have to make an amalgamation of years of the Titanic wreck, because it's an ever evolving, living, breathing, kind of shipwreck. It's never the same. So it's quite a headache. So it's quite an idea. And it's one of those things that it sounds fun, but maybe one day. A DLC where you follow the big piece down to the bottom. That's very
very specific.
Yeah, I mean that's almost along the lines of like the gentleman at one of the Titanic conventions who said he was the reincarnation of Titanic's port anchor. If he's here in the chat, I'm not making fun of you. I'm just saying I hope you're living your best life as Titanic's port anchor reincarnated. I'm trying to read some more things in the chat right now. Oh, there's a super chat.
There's a super chat, and here we go. I missed this one. Thank you, Eileen, for pointing this out. So Eileen put a super chat just so I could pull up this super chat that I missed.
Oh, I missed it too.
Yeah. Are you using blueprints and build out schematics from Harland and Wolff if they exist? Matthew?
That's me. Yes, we are using Harland and Wolff documents, blueprints, as much as we can get our hands on. Now, of course, Titanics, they don't exist so much because Olympics came first and they just copied Olympic for the most part. There's some really annoying, obnoxious, rare Titanic general arrangement plans that have always been teased out there, and no historian anywhere can find them. If you can find Titanic's general arrangement plans that were aired like once in a documentary in 1988, you'll please so many historians that I know.
Yeah, if you have it, tell us.
So if you have that one that you probably think it's the one, and I'll be like, that's not the one. Thank you for showing it to me. But yeah, but still, we use Harland Wolff marine plans. We use other ships from Harland and Wolff. We use ships from Cunard liners. We use Leviathan. We use Queen Mary. We use everything we can get our hands on to get inspired to design Titanic, because we can't just focus on the ship that we have no plans for. We have to utilize every method of research we possibly can. For instance, the dog kennels that you mentioned, James, earlier. There's no photographs. There's no plans for the dog kennels whatsoever on Olympic and of course Titanic. It's just a room that says dog kennels. That's it. Thanks a lot, guys. Thanks for being very descriptive. It just says dog kennels. But on Queen Mary or on Leviathan or Belgian or on these other ships, they go into more detail and more drawings, and there's photographs of them actually. So now we can get an idea of, okay, they had stacked cages with a heater and a sink and a porthole or something, and we can get an idea of, okay, that's kind of what the dog kennel should look like. And so it's saying, so these other ships from around the same time period that aren't necessarily Titanic but are related to the Titanic, and like kind of like second cousin once removed, we can figure it out.
Cool. Here's a quick super chat question. Will we be able to admire the bunker in the alpha version? I assume they mean like a coal bunker, which yes, I mean the alpha in itself covers the entire ship, so anything that's on Titanic will be in the alpha. The free alpha will just be B deck, so I don't believe there's a bunker of any thing on B deck. I'm not sure if that's what the
You're looking over the side of the ship and seeing the coaling.
Yeah, maybe. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what the question is, but so we're still getting lots of turn off the dome questions. I've got a great question that I missed on Facebook here. This was by Joe Douglas, I believe. Joe Douglas, Sam Walker, maybe that's the full name. I don't know. It's a pretty intense question, just asking about, we've mentioned that we want to do like a full interactivity thing, like everything that should move, you should be able to move it. And they put a bunch of examples, and I'd love to just like hit all of them. So just to give you an idea of the kind of detail we're going into, one of these might be a little too much for me, but we'll see. So can you adjust the speed of the engine by clicking on the valves? If you're in the engine room, could you like turn knobs and make the engine slow down? That is very much far down the line. Like when we actually get to that space, obviously we'd love to be able to do that sort of thing. If we can truly digest how all of the engines worked with all the knobs and valves and whatnot, I suppose that would be pretty cool. It could be a little complicated. In a perfect world, you could adjust some knobs and it would slow the engines, and then you could go back up on deck and then the ship is actually moving slower. That would be really cool if we can do that. That's like very, very high end ideas though. So thank you for that. Will you be able to go into the lookout's nest and ring the bell? Absolutely. That's an easy one. No doubt about that. Control the car in the cargo hold. From what I understand, the car in the cargo hold was actually like packed away in a box, so it wouldn't actually, you can't actually get to it. So I apologize. No, you will not be able to do that, because if you couldn't do it on the real Titanic, you can't do it in our game. Can you open and close the watertight doors? Oh, of course, that's easy. With the switch on the bridge, for sure. Will the telegraph arrow move in the engine room if you move the handle on the bridge? We would love for all of those things to happen. This is the one that I think might be too much. Will you be able to see inside a toilet tank where the flush handle is? That might be, I assume they mean like, I don't know how toilets worked back then, Matt, but if it's anything like, lifting the lid off.
There's no lid to lift on Titanic's toilets. Okay. So we're saved.
Yeah, we don't have to do that because there aren't lids to lift. Great, we did it. So yeah, that just to give you an idea of what kind of detail we may be trying to pursue. Yes, in a perfect world, that whole engine thing would be awesome, but that does require us to do quite a lot for such a specific thing. I mean, it'd be one thing to, because keep in mind at first, the Alpha pretty much entirely will be in Belfast, so the ship won't actually be running. But once the ship is at sea, maybe we can get into things like, can you control how fast it's going and stuff like that. It'd be very fun to be on deck and to ring the telegraphs down to the engine room to slow down or stop or whatever. But that's some pretty high level stuff that we absolutely have in mind. But focus on the ship first. Ship first. Okay, so I think that's all the questions I had on the different sites. Thank you to everybody on Facebook and Discord and Reddit for asking those questions. Good moment to plug those sites. We have our a Reddit subreddit that I am on every single day. I post a lot on there. Little things like just questions to the fans about, what are some Titanic stories that you love? you know, in the hopes that maybe we could include it in some way in like a log entry or whatnot. So, and then we post our schedules there, and I ask, you know, things like, what questions do you want us to answer in this next live stream? So get on our subreddit if you want to chat with me a little bit about the game. I try to answer all the questions that people post on there. We have our Discord as well, if you can get on there. We have Facebook, we have Instagram, we have a whole bunch of stuff. Follow us on all the things so you don't miss anything. So I think that's all of those. Matt, do you want to answer a question while I go to the bathroom real quick? I'll be right back.
Oh, okay. Sure. Oh my God, I'm full screen. All right. Yeah, I will answer some questions that I see popping up in the chat, everybody. I've been trying to answer some design questions because I let my team figure out more of the technical questions or creative ones. I won't say I handpicked everybody, but the team is together, and we have this team here for a reason. You know, everyone here is here because they are trusted to do what they are picked to do. Like James is the creative director for a reason because his creative choices are quite good. You know, I think anyway. His thoughts and his process for coming up with the journal entries and the log entries and all of the other choices which he has to make as creative director are in line with what I feel is appropriate for Titanic: Honor and Glory. So that's why he's the creative director, and why, you know, it's similar along the lines of why Dominik is, you know, technical director, and why I have Nicholas and Gio as the two historical art directors, and Derek, you just heard earlier, speak about Unreal for the longest time, in a good way, about, you know, because he's so knowledgeable on the subject. So they know what they're talking about, and they're here because they definitely can give you the best, turn off the dome, the best insight into the story, the technical aspects of the game that are coming up. So let me see some of these lovely questions that we're getting about. Oh, he's back. I didn't answer a single question. I didn't answer a single question.
How could
I just talked about how much of the team, how I love you guys. Honestly, that's what I said.
So sweet.
Yeah.
We love you too, man.
Yeah, I was saying, like, you guys are great.
Yeah, we're having a great time doing this.
Mhm.
Definitely having a great time. We should answer just a couple more questions, and then we should announce the winners of the contest, and then we should go, because we're coming up on 2 hours here, which is fine.
Yes.
I mean, as long as people still have questions, I suppose we can hang out a little bit.
Is there the detail or color design aspect about the Titanic that you refuse to let go of, but is almost universally disagreed with? The people seem to always want to believe that the propellers or there's carpeting in the dining saloon for some reason, and I don't understand. Even when we say, like, no, there's tile recovered from the wreck site of the dining saloon, they're not going to cover the entire saloon with tile or with carpeting if they took the time to do all this work. I don't know. The photo behind me right here is an extra Patreon lounge perk that I send out. I put it up. I meant to cover the board with more. Someone asked that in the chat. I meant to cover this with more images, but I never got around to it. Will the floor of Scotland Road have a small noticeable curvature? It does already. That's the shear of the ship, and the lower on Titanic, it's not as extreme as, say, for instance, Queen Mary. If you go on Queen Mary, you can stand on one end of a corridor on the bow, and if you go all the way at the other end of the corridor, the stern, on one of the higher up first class corridors, you won't be able to see the other person at the end because the curvature of the shear is so extreme. It's like you're looking at you're in a valley almost. But on Titanic, if you're on E deck, the the shear isn't as pronounced that low down. So if you look at deck plans, you can even tell that the shear is kind of just a slight curve, and we
Right.
have the correct shear in our demo for E-deck. We don't have any shear presently in the rest of the ship, but we plan to have shear. James, did you wash your hands? Someone asked that question.
Yeah, no, of course.
Okay, yes. What about the Titanic's whistle? Would you just use Olympics or do something else? We created our own whistle for Britannic, patrons of the Mediterranean, but I think we're planning on creating a unique whistle for Titanic, so that we have Britannic has her own whistle, and Titanic will have her own whistle too. So when you hear it, it's really unique. Someone's asking. Oh, I'll just respond. People are asking questions about the grand staircase and its accuracy, or if you can find deck plans of it for like woodworking, etc. So someone specifically asked, how accurate is the grand staircase in Pigeon Forge? And this goes to the question, how accurate are any of the recreations you see around the world of the grand staircase or corridors? And they have to be a certain way for many different reasons nowadays. Safety is a big one. You have to add handrails. You have to use different materials. You can't use flammable oak wood. You have to use veneers. You have to have the stairs have to be at a certain pitch and slope, etc. There's a lot of different reasons why it doesn't match the photographs of the Titanic exactly, but there's no way to just describe how wonderful it is to feel to be in these spaces still, nonetheless. I've been to Pigeon Forge 4 times now, and it's still something else to be able to walk up the grand staircase and stand by the clock, which the clock is still like massive around you, and it's exactly. Catful Brady asked this question too. Oh, you're in Ireland. You created one of the grand staircase pillars made of oak, and I'm unsure if the measurements are correct. Do you have any advice? I can give you the quick advice that they are 32 inches high from the floor. I just know that measurement off the top of my head. And again, in some places such as Pigeon Forge, Orlando, Belfast, they have to increase the heights, the width, etc. for modern safety purposes. 32 inch high railing leaning over, you're just gonna go whoop, you're gonna take a tumble right over. Olympic eventually had safety rails added to her grand staircase, so you'll notice in photographs, because I'm certain some passenger was leaning too far over the well of to look down and was just a little too brave and bold, and took a little bit of a spill perhaps at one of the levels, and that's why it was added. Are you sure that
another super chat real quick?
Go ahead, yes.
Before I lose them, $5 from Justin C. Would it be cool? It would be cool if you guys, when you walk around the ship, you could hear the band and even watch the band play. If NPCs are a possibility way down the line, then yeah, we could definitely have you watch the band. But the nice thing is, don't need NPCs for there to be music in this game, and so there will absolutely be that feeling aboard the ship. When you're walking around, you can hear the band playing way ahead of you on that one. In regards to what Matt's talking about, the recreations, how accurate they are, I don't know how accurate they are, but I recently went to the Orlando exhibit, and it's like the A-deck promenade recreation. You walk out, and it's like you can hear the band playing like on the deck above, and it's where the large windows become the enclosed ones, where the window does the curved thing. And it really took my breath away. I was a little emotional because it's just cool to see. Let's do one more question each, and then we're gonna.
I have a good one.
Good.
Which will help us. Carl's then 86 is asking a question that might be good for us too. I somewhat responded to him in the chat earlier, but we can't scroll down there. He asked, if they're since we're might be overwhelmed with trying to get information for testimonials and entries and such, if there is a way for everyone to submit additional information and historical elements for our testimonials, our journal entries, etc., mainly because he's from Norway and he thinks he can help out with the Norwegian passengers. So is there a way that people can help out and wish to submit, information about passengers, Titanic, just general info, etc. And yes, we'd love to, take any, we're trying to take all as much Titanic knowledge as we possibly can and put it into one game, one place, so that anyone who wants to learn about Titanic and her story and everything connected with her can just pop in a CD. Never mind. Can just click the button and click. What do kids do? They just open up Steam or whatever.
The kids.
I don't know if we're gonna be on Steam, but they can just open up the game and just be like, I'm gonna play Titanic, so they can go to it and learn about Titanic and any fashion whatsoever. So if you guys think they have information for us, there's going to be a place on our website where you can submit historical documents, historical tidbits and such. We might technically have to fact check it in a way. We're not going to just put in the Titanic had ruby slippers, I don't know, or something, or Irene Harris had ruby slippers and it was the first of a kind. That's the inspiration for Dorothy's, I don't know, or something. I'm literally just thinking of the top person that came off the top of my head. We're going to have to go through it. And of course, if you give us anything, we're going to we'll credit you for that aspect in the game, somewhere on our credits at the end, or website, or etc. We have to figure that out still, but that's going to come down the line because we're still working on different pages on our websites. We don't want it to just be an email. So, and we'll be very thankful for you for that information too. And it will be used just for the game and won't be used in any other research fashion, like in the novel, etc., or whatever. That's not what we can get into that if it comes to it. We just want to make sure that it's safe. Your information is safe and secure. That's how we handle things with many of the historians who help us out and give us research materials and documentation and plans and photos and testimonials. That's our agreement with them too, is that we will only use it for THG and nothing else. And if we want to use it for one of our other planned projects that we might have, which are still 99 years down the line, 99 bottles of beer, thank you. We have to discuss that with them too. So it'll be the same for anybody who wishes to help us out with information on their Norwegian relatives or Norwegian passengers they think were on Titanic. So thank you for that, Carl, for that question. I think it was a really good one, and I do feel like an old man sometimes.
I'm trying to find a question really quick for my final question, but I don't know. We've sort of answered so many of these now that I'm reading them. So I think we're good. Let me just make sure I'm not missing anything at the bottom, because I went way back.
The shop will be open THG soon.
Oh yeah, that's a good final question. Yeah, we're still working on the shop. Our website guy Andy,
they're doing a great job.
He's doing an amazing job, and the what it looks like right now, we can see what it looks like while they're working on it. It's not out yet, but we can look at it while they're working on it, and it's beautiful. It looks so good. It looks very, very different from what it looks like right now. Even we released the current state of it, and then as we fixed up the shop, it just sort of started to snowball into a whole different look, and it looks so good, and we're very excited about it. So just give us another minute with it. The whole reason that we did this whole shift of the store and reworked the store was because people were having trouble with the store and with the hand painted models and all that stuff, and we wanted to completely rework how the company operates who makes what, how we can get other companies to make certain things so Zeno can focus on them. About it. We did a whole stream about it. Feel free to look that up on our stuff. So okay, that works for me. I think we should talk about these winners. So
some really great looking stuff.
Yes. Oh yeah. So I do want to say there were some awesome entries to this contest. I did have some issues with some people sent as requested. A lot of people sent Google Drive links, and then I asked for access to them, and I never got the access. So sorry if you submitted something and didn't grant me access. I wasn't able to look at it, but I think we got about 50 submissions, and all of them were super creative. Some people were sadly eliminated because and the people who they submitted it, and they always say, like, I don't know if this counts, but some people sent virtual things, and we were looking for something like actual, like physical 3D, or someone submitted something that someone else made, and it's like, well, that's cool, but it needs to be something that you made, so that way we can give you a prize for it. Some people sent unfinished stuff, which is great. And there was one model in particular, I forget. It was like a hand-built or a scratch-built Titanic. Like I want to say it was like 108th scale, and it looks awesome. And I'm really looking forward to seeing that when it's finished. But we decided not to go with that one because it's not finished yet. But keep working on it because it looks awesome. But we got lots of like cake submissions and food submissions. Loved those. Lots of Lego submissions, loved those. But these are our favorite three. So the third place goes to a cake submission. Here is our third place winner, who wins. What does third place win? Is it a mug or a t-shirt? I think it's let's go t-shirt.
T-shirt. I think it was t-shirt, right?
I think so. So let's say this winner is going to get a t-shirt. Here is the submission. Let me get us a little bit smaller for a second. Yeah, that works. Here we go. Here is third place. Dun, da, da, da. This is made by Merrick. I'm not going to say that last name, but Merrick. This is a birthday cake of the Grand Staircase. It is beautiful. It is so great. There were some other great cake submissions of the full Titanic, which were great. But this one, just the creativity
that one takes the cake.
Oh boy.
Oh,
get out of here.
I can't believe that was. I'm gonna get my coat in that.
So second place goes to this was okay. So just to let you know how we did this, we got 50 submissions. I sent all of the ones that qualified, the ones that were actually like physical models that people made, all that stuff, and I sent that I put in our Discord, and everybody on the team liked their top three, and then whichever models got the most likes from everybody on the team, they won. So this one was my favorite, but as a team, it was our second favorite. Here is second place, a winner of a t-shirt and a mug, getting both of them. This
can't wait to see.
Beautiful mini dining saloon by Matthew Stern. It's made of like a whole bunch of stuff. He sent me the list of all the stuff that it's made with, and I don't remember it off the top of my head, but he used demo 3 as a way to like try and recreate it as best he could. You can see he has the big archway windows that that are famously in our demo, and it looks beautiful, and he sent me a lot of pictures.
All the china on the table.
Yeah, it's really incredible. This one was absolutely my favorite, but it was beat out by one vote from the first place finisher. So congrats to Matthew Stern on second place. But the number one model winning, what are they winning, Matthew? It is a year.
A year on the Patreon.
A year of Patreon status, so they will be able to play our free alpha, the early access to the alpha for a whole year. It'll begin when the alpha starts, of course.
Right.
Don't worry.
No, this isn't a cake, by the way. You can't eat this dying.
Oh yeah, this is not a cake.
This is not a cake. This is not a cake because you're not King Jong-un.
But the winner is, here we go. The number first place. Our first contest winner is drum roll.
Dun, dun, dun.
Look at this guy. This is the only name I have for this person is Gianni. This sinking. It's a true model. It's a model kit. It's that I forget which one it is. It's the I think it's the most one of the more popular kits.
Is it 1/350th?
Yeah, I think it's the 350th.
I think it is. Or is it 400?
It's a 350 because I think the funnels have those really big holes for the guy wires. Anyway, but not only did they build it, but they made it break in half. Now this is like super dramatic break in half. Like this is more 1997 James Cameron height, but it's epic and it's awesome. And I love the like, what is that, like cotton balls or whatever to make it look like water splat. It's perfect. I love this thing. So congratulations to Gianni. I'm going to email all you guys to let you know that you won, just in case you're not watching. But this is awesome. Love it. Love it. Love it.
Well done.
Cool. Well done. Well done, everybody. We're going to have more contests in the future. We're going to do probably like a 3D modeling contest, like in actual, virtual world. We'll do, I don't know, artwork contest, 2D artwork, hand-drawn stuff. So yeah, lots of cool things to come in that regard. So thanks everybody for that. Yeah, Matt, do you have anything else you'd like to say before we go for a little bit?
Oh, I'd like to thank everybody for joining us today on either their Monday or their Memorial Day holiday, and just say remembrance to everybody who served. Well, I guess I don't know either if Memorial Day is celebrated or remembered around the world besides the United States. I'm showing my ignorant side. So memory for everyone of our fallen service members, but also a memory of Titanic too, on her I consider this her birthday today. Yeah. This is Titanic's birthday. So happy 110th birthday, Titanic.
Yeah.
Which makes her also a Gemini like me. Take that, everybody. So yeah, but no, thanks for the continued support, everyone. I'm going to be a broken record. We wouldn't be anywhere without you guys helping us along, especially now when our store is still in flux at the moment. So the Patreon and all of your super chats today are super helpful to keeping the team going ahead and making us work on this game, because there's a lot to go still, and there's a lot of people who are hard at work and deserve to get some hard-earned, let's just say what it is, the pay out of it. There's a lot of people who are volunteering their time and effort, but there's a lot of people who are doing a lot of stuff and need to get some stuff out of it. We can't just get be doing Titanic for free their entire life.
Yeah, not my entire life. Yeah.
So yeah, that's and then we're especially now since we're not seeking investors. So again, thank you guys so much, and I hope that we answered at least some. I know there's probably hundreds and hundreds of more questions you guys could ask, and we'll try to answer them more on all of our social medias, but for now we're gonna do our best to turn off the dome and see what happens with that.
We'll see. And if we can make it look good, we'll put it out there.
Thanks for the hearts, Shannon.
Yeah, and thank you for the super chat. All right, guys. Thanks for joining us. We will be back. Let me put up our little coming up slide. I think the first thing on it, obviously.
What's next? I'm coming up again.
The first
No,
the first thing is
I can't.
done.
I can't do it again. No, I
No.
can't. I just.
So our next
I
stream
refuse.
will be Friday, June 18th at noon. We're going to talk about BDEC, everything that we're releasing in the alpha. So we'll just go room by room. We'll talk through it. Maybe we'll have guests from the team to just do a little history, talk
There's a
about
lot
each
of
room.
rooms.
There's a lot of
rooms
rooms
to talk about.
on BDEC. So
you guys don't understand how big B deck is. Every deck of this ship is just it's a big ship.
right, it's pretty insane. So
Yes.
definitely join us for that, and then all we there you are all week long. Keep in mind we have shipyard streams, which are when different developers on the team just go on Twitch or YouTube and they make the game, and they just sit there and they'll talk to you, answer your questions. Dominik's been doing a lot of work with like hull plating and or deck plating, and we're just and then Zeno, he does streams where he just paints the hand painted models. It's very relaxing and very fun to watch. But yeah, come hang out with us on the different sites, and then come over to Reddit and talk to me about the game. And
when are you, can I ask you a question that might be jumping the gun? When are you doing your games?
Oh, sure. So this is something we're still figuring this out.
Okay, sorry.
No, it's fine. I actually did want to mention it. We just we don't have a date for it yet, but pretty soon, what we want to do is, in addition to these shipyard streams, so we have these streams every 2 weeks. We have shipyard streams where you can watch us build the game. We want to do something a little bit more relaxed, a little more fun. So I'm going to start doing what I do on my off time anyway, and play Titanic-based video games. And you guys can join me on Twitch, and we'll probably start with Adventure Out of Time. Play Adventure Out of Time for a couple streams. That game changed my life, so I have plenty to say about it. And then truly, I have not played any other Titanic-based games, like all the weird, obscure Titanic games out there. So I'm just gonna like pick one at a time and play them and see what they're like. It's gonna be fun, and maybe my fiance will join us as well. She loves games and knows very little about Titanic, so it's quite funny to have her play these games. I tried to get her to play Adventure Out of Time, and about an hour in, she was so confused about the storyline. So maybe we'll try that again with her. It's quite fun. So yeah, we're gonna hang out and play, do little let's plays of Titanic games. We don't have a date for that just yet. Lots of stuff coming up that we want to focus on first. But that will be, that'll be like on a Saturday night when I'm just sitting around doing nothing anyway. So
yes.
So yeah, that'll be fun. So keep an eye out for that sort of stuff. And with that, I think that's it. So thanks for joining us. So we'll be back for another DevStream number 6.
We're 6 now.
On the 18th, was it? On the Friday, let's look at it real quick. Friday the 18th. That's right. So we will see you then. Thanks for joining us, and that's it. Have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody. Thanks again.